Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NBA and the NFL. I have a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys drop a like. And if you're new to the channel, first time here, never ever seen any of my NBA or NFL lineup advice videos, the only thing you need to do to be a part of the DFS Zone community is to be a subscriber down below. Make sure you subscribe. Put on the bell icon right next to it. Turn it on. This way you don't miss out on any of my NBA lineup advice videos. With that being said, today is Tuesday, December the 18th, 2018. 4-game slate in association. All right, before I get started, last night, not too bad of a night. I did have one out of the 5 guys that I gave you guys yesterday that I was going to have the most exposure to. Belizia in Sacramento let us obviously down. Coach decided to sit down the whole team pretty much after the second quarter, midway through the second quarter. They did not play a whole lot of minutes. Granted, I could understand that. I mean, hey, it happens. I used to coach travel baseball. I had my own travel baseball program for youth here in my town for 16 years, and there were times that I needed to make decisions like that as well, sit 2 or 3 players. I know how it is, and I could understand it, So, again, the bottom line is, hey, coach made a decision. Unfortunately, us DFS players have to pay for it, so it's more not the players, so much so because the coach could have made the decision to put them back in the game, but a guy like Belizia only played 5-6 minutes or whatever it was, only put up 2.5 fantasy points, so that was a killer. But other than that, everybody else that I did mention, I was on Lillard. He was my highest guy. He came up with 55.6. I gave you guys Devin Booker. He was my favorite player as shooting guard. He came up with 54. Then, of course, the downer with Belizia. Blake Griffin was my top guy there. He put up close to value. He was pretty close. I will take the 40. He put up 40. He needed to get around 47 to pay off that price. Not too bad. I will take that. And then Steven Adams and Cantor were my favorite centers with a little sprinkle of Nurkic. Nurkic put up 41. Cantor put up 36. And Steven Adams 37. They met value just like pretty much right on the nose. So not too bad of a night as far as the selections. And I also gave you a couple other players because, like always, I'm always going to give you more than enough players. By the time it's all said and done, you should have at least 16, 17 possible plays altogether with all the positions. When it's all said and done, maybe even as much as 20. So, there you have options, all right? And there'll be options again here today. Again, 4-game slate. All players are available. It's a short slate. I do advise, just be a little careful. Some games have, have a couple of high implied totals. Some games have, over-unders. I think Cleveland's like 12-point underdog against Indiana. So, got to watch out for those games. Other than that, I mean, it should be a perfect, for me, I'm a GPP player. It's a perfect GPP night, not too much of a cash play night. But if you wanted to play cash, I would say play one lineup and then look for the most consistent players that you can find on this actual slate. But me, I prefer, I'm a GPP player, so I prefer the GPP. This is perfect night to be able to take a stab at a number of possible good upside plays. All right, so we go over at point guard. Let's start at point guard. And today we have John Wall, we have Jamal Murray, and Spencer Dinwiddie pretty much at the top. John Wall, the top dog at 10,400. You pretty much need 52 for him to meet value. I will, and I always tell you guys every day if I have exposure or not. I plan to have exposure to John Wall. Now, I am going to throw him in there. Another thing I forgot to tell you guys, normally on 3- and 4-game slates, if this is your first time seeing one of my videos, on 3- and 4-game slates, for those who already been here and already know, I normally put enough players that I have planned to have exposure to that I think are in the best favorable or matchups. I pretty much put them on a fantasy cruncher. We put them in there as part of the player pool, make a player pool of at least 30 or 40 players or maybe 25, 30 players, and then I optimize them with the optimizer on Fantasy Cruncher with their projections, of course, not mine. And we spit out a couple of lineups, be able to share those lineups with you. It's entirely up to you. You can mix and match. You can take some guys out on your own. But at the same time, by the time it's all said and done, you would have gotten a player pool just from the players that I tell you more or less I think are in the best possible position for you tonight. So always keep that in mind. Like I just said, John Wall is someone you can consider, but you have to take into account he is 10,400, but he is in a very, very good spot, going up in a favorable matchup against a team that he should be able to do well against. All right, so John Wall is in play. He is not my top point guard today because I feel that we can pay down today and get a reasonable point guard with some upside in matchups, in favorable matchups. Jamal Murray is in a favorable matchup. Dallas has been giving up quite a bit of points to opposing point guards, 35.2 as of late. over the last 5-6 games. So Murray's in a good spot at home. Dallas has a number of injuries. They got Dennis Smith Jr. still game-time decision. Barrera's a game-time decision. The young kid Brunson should not be able to, definitely hold down Jamal Murray. And then, of course, Jamal Murray gets going with his shot. He could be very dangerous. He has 50-point upside, but at the same time, he can get you only 20. Now, his price tag is pretty high at $8,100, but he is someone definitely to consider. Dinwiddie. Probably not so much so with Dinwiddie against Brooklyn, at home in Brooklyn versus the Lakers, because when he's on the court, if Ball is on the court, Ball is going to be on him, and Ball has been really balling, not only offensively, but he's actually been playing pretty well against opposing point guards, and he's been playing pretty decent defense. So I'm a little concerned with Dinwiddie there. Same thing with Russell, but I think that's going to be a nice matchup. You should have some exposure to the Laker-Brooklyn game because it should be a nice close game. Trae Young and Lonzo Ball definitely stand out to me at 69 and 6,800. I will have pretty much maybe a good 30-40% exposure to Trae Young. Take a shot at him. We know he can only get you something. He doesn't have a big floor. He's definitely capable of getting you 50 or better. He's that explosive. So you got to take a shot at him on GPP strictly. Trae Young is definitely someone in play. But I'm going to speak upon Lonzo Ball. I think he's my favorite point guard today at 6,800. He comes in here. He's averaging 8 points, pretty much 5 rebounds, 5 assists, pretty balanced through across the board. 26 fantasy points per game, 6,800. You need 34, and at DK 6,500, you need about 33. But what I like is 5 out of his last 7 games, he's been at 34 plus as far as fantasy point totals, and that is something that definitely appeals to me. And of course, he's also been playing more than enough minutes. His minutes have been really good, averaging 33 or more over the last 4 or 5 games. Usage rate is not extremely high because obviously the ball revolve. He gets a lot of touches because he has to handle the ball, but we know that he's not the most important player that they need to score. We need LeBron James. Kyle Kuzma has been shown to be maybe the second top player on the Laker team as far as offensively is concerned. Then I would think Ball falls into that 3rd, 4th spot. But as you can see, his shot totals as of late have been good. 9 to 10 shots, pretty much almost 11 shots per game over the last 4 games. He's got 3 or 4. It takes about 4, maybe 4 threes per game as of late, and he is capable of filling out the stat sheet. He can get you some rebounds, and he can get some assists. He does turn over the ball quite a bit. That always concerns me. If he could clean that up a little bit, it'd be definitely more fantasy points for us. But he's been really rock solid defensively. Look at this, 8 steals over the last 8 games with 3 blocks. And only just 2 fouls. So he's been really playing well on the defensive end as well as on the offensive end. And, of course, he has 50-point upside, which we really like. That is some of the things that I'm really have enjoying so much about him. He's going up against Brooklyn, 20th in defending point guards thus far this year, and allowing, as of late, 37.7 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards over the last 5 games. They did give up 30 to Trae Young, 38 to John Wall, 57 to Ben Simmons. Pretty much 3 out of the last 5-6 games. Those are the opponents that they've had. So I like the matchup for Lonzo Ball here. And like I said, I will have exposure to Mr. Trae Young. And as you can see, I kind of jotted down these guys already. Wall has been checked off here in the optimizer. Jamal Murray, Trae Young, Lonzo Ball. I will have some exposure and put them in the player pool here, Colin Sexton. And then the bottom tier here, I think guys you got to watch out for is Jeremy Lin and Matthew Dellavedova. These guys, even though the Cleveland's going up against Indiana, I don't like playing anybody against Indiana when it comes to guards. They are coming in here holding point guards and shooting guards to both positions, averaging 26.5 fantasy points per game. That is the lowest in the guard spots in both shooting guard and point guard in this actual slate. So Indiana's always been tough, but Dellavedova has been playing so well. He's been getting quite a bit of few minutes, so he's someone you definitely got to consider. 23, 25, and 28 in the last 3 games, 22 minutes to as much as 27 minutes, and he's getting off 7 or 8 shots a game. He's taking 4 or 5 threes. He is doing a little bit of everything, so got to at least take a stab in giving him a shot and putting him in the player pool. So at point guard, those are the guys I'm looking at. We'll go over the shooting guard. And at shooting guard today, Victor Oladipo at the top. I like Victor here, man. His price tag is really high. Again, it's a 4-game slate. You're going to see that. So he's definitely someone to consider. He'll be in the player pool because I will have exposure to Oladipo. This is a great matchup for him. You know, Cleveland has been, they've been competitive in certain games. Since Tristan Thompson has gone down, they've really suffered up front. But Victor Oladipo is in a good spot here. I think he's someone you must consider at 9,600 in a 4-game slate. Even if he gets you 40 and he doesn't quite meet your value, just pretty much like Blake Griffin did last night, I think in a 4-game slate like this, it would not hurt you whatsoever. Then you got Bradley Beal. I kind of like John Wall better in this matchup, even though Bradley Beal's price is really appealing at 8,300. He did have a fantastic game against Atlanta the first time out, but again, that game was with no John Wall. He was definitely the guy that they had to go to and put up the fantasy point totals. I'll obviously be the main offensive weapon for the Washington Wizards in that game. So in this game here, I kind of favor more paying up for Wall if you're going to go that route. So I'm not quite on Beal. I think Luka Doncic is a great spot. He will be also in the player pool here for shooting guard. He is pretty consistent, can get you 30 to 33. Definitely a good cash player, but tonight is not a day to think about cash. He does have 45-point upside. He's already done it a few times over the last couple of games. So Luka Doncic is definitely someone to consider. D'Angelo Russell in a good spot as well against the Lakers. Lakers do have trouble with the twos, but when he's on the court, unless Spencer Dinwiddie's on the court with him, he pretty much is playing point guard. He's playing the one usually when he's on the court. Only when Spencer Dinwiddie is out there is when they actually both co-share the point guard duties, and sometimes, most of the time, he is the one who falls into that 2 spot because he's a better shooter and a better player as far as penetrating and getting into the driving to the basket. So D'Angelo Russell could be someone to consider. I will put him in the player pool as well. I definitely like Ken Bazemore here in this matchup against Washington. So to save a little bit of money, if you don't want to go to Oladipo, come all the way down to Ken Bazemore. He's been pretty solid as of late. Atlanta needs him. He's probably one of their key offensive players other than Trae Young and John Collins, at least as of late. So Ken Bazemore, 13 points, pretty much 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 27.7, pretty much 28 fantasy points per game, 6,800. You need 34. On DK, 6,300. You need about 32. He's averaging 28. And what I like is 5 straight games at 32 or more, 30 points or more. 46, 36, 32, 30, and 40. So he is up there. He has been trending upward. And anytime you can get a player that is at least trending upward, you want to at least be able to get up on that trend. Last you can see solid 30 or better over 5 straight games. The minutes are there, 32 to 33 minutes pretty much on average. His usage rate is coming on up slowly but surely. He had 24 here and 25 respectively in 2 out of the last 3 games. And then look at the shots, 10 or more over the last 4 games. He's even taken up 18 in some games as well. He can hit the 3. And he hit it pretty effectively, pretty much almost 50%, 45% from 3-point range over the last 3 games, pretty much, more or less. And he gets to the foul line. He's a good free throw shooter, can get you some rebounds, more of an assist guy. Turnovers have been a problem for him as well, but at the same time, he makes it up with the steals. He has had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 steals over the last 5 games. I love that. And if you've been here long enough, you know I love to see guards, point guards and shooting guards, if they're not shooting that well, not be scoring dependent, being able to do some other things for your team defensively and jacking up the fantasy point totals by getting steals, blocks, and getting rebounds and assists. And that's something that Ken Bazemore can do. I love the matchup here. Washington 29th in defending shooting guards. And he did play against Washington earlier this year. Just about a week and a half ago, he put up a 46 spot in 35 minutes of 24% usage rate, shot 8 of 18, 2 of 9, as you can see, 22 points from the floor. Did foul out in that game, even with those numbers. So imagine if you can keep it clean. Like I said, Washington 29th in shooting, defending against shooting guards. They have allowed 30 fantasy points per game over the last 5 games. Mr. Joe Harris of the Nets put up 35, Smart 36, Tyreek Evans put up 32, and Mr. Alec Burks put up 30 against them. And then, of course, 6 games back, Bazemore put up 46 against them. So he's going to get another crack at it. I think he is probably your best Atlanta play other than taking a stab at Trae Young. So he's in a player pool. He's my favorite shooting guard here at this price of 6,800. Again, like I said, we'll have exposure and we'll put in the player pool Oladipo, Doncic, even D'Angelo Russell. You come down here, obviously Monte Morris is definitely in play, 5,700, man. The guy's been rock solid for Denver. He is definitely someone here that looks really appealing, really, really nice at this price tag. You need about 27, 28, and he's been doing 28 or better in 4 straight games. So he has a little bit of upside as well. Perfect guy to throw into the player pool as well. So he's definitely someone to consider. You got Clarkson here. Could be a possible threat. We know he's great GPP material. Could get you 40, 45. He's capable of lighting it up any given day as well, depending on how many minutes and shots he gets off. Got Allen Crabbe, game time decision. That will not it'll be good for the Nets if he's able to play, because he could be pretty dangerous from the outside shot. Then you come down here, you got KCP and Josh Hart, probably KCP more so. Alec Burks will be on the player pool. Don't like any matchups against Indiana, but we'll see what the player pool has for us. Beasley and Craig, both of these guys, both for Denver, should be in the player pool as well. Obviously, Beasley is probably a better fantasy point per minute player than Craig. Craig, I think, has been playing more minutes, but he doesn't put up a ton of fantasy point totals. He's more of a guy that, he gets a couple of blocks and steals, but doesn't put up for the amount of minutes he plays. Like he got here 39. This is not too bad, 27, 35 minutes. But I think Beasley is more of a better fantasy point per minute player. And that's pretty much it. Let's go to small forward. A small forward, I already told you I'm going to be all over LeBron James as I'm able to pay down. If I take a Bazemore and I take either a Murray or I take Alonzo Ball or something, or even a Trae Young, you have enough money there to get LeBron James as one of those key studs in there, and you can always pay up for one more guy as well. So LeBron James is in play for me, 11,005, and he's 10,600 on DK. Not a whole lot. I'm going to go through him really quickly. We know he's going to score 28 points, 8 rebounds, pretty much 7 assists, 50 fantasy points is his average. At 11,005, you need 57. On DK's 10,006, you need 52, 53. Pretty much 4 out of his last 6 games, he's been rock solid. We know he's been a little up and down, but at the same time, we know that he is LeBron James. Any given day, he can have a monster performance. This game here, what I like is that it's going to be competitive. It should be competitive. They're playing in Brooklyn. And at the same time, I can also see this game being so close at the wire that LeBron James does play maximum amount of minutes in this game, able to get more shots. More minutes on the floor for LeBron is more shots, more usage, more opportunity for him to score. And at the same time, if this game goes into overtime for whatever reason, which has the potential to go to happen, definitely you would like to see LeBron James obviously be able to get some more extended minutes to put up more fantasy points. We know he's going to get his normal shots, 19 to 20 shots a game pretty much on average. He's going to be at about 31% or better usage rate, and he's going to get more than 32, 33 minutes on average per game. He fills up the stat sheet, can get you rebounds, of course, assists. He could get the occasional block. He definitely gets some steals on a regular basis, at least 1 or 2 a game, so he gives you all that as well. So I like him here. Definitely, he's going up against Brooklyn. They're 7th in defending power forwards. And, as of late, they've been allowing 27.6 fantasy points per game over the last 5 games, which is not a whole lot. Kirk Miles put up 36.6. Kawhi Leonard put up 53 pretty much over that last few games. Other than that, those are the only guys that put up some serious numbers against Brooklyn. But, again, they have not played LeBron James this year. So that's the key factor here, is that LeBron James is going to have an opportunity to get busy. Other than that, as you can see, there's a lot of injuries, a lot of guys out. You got Juancho Hernan-Gomez as a game-time decision. If he's able to play, he could be someone to be put in to put into consideration in this matchup. But you got Harrison Barnes. You're going to have to throw him in the player pool going up against Denver. Don't like playing a lot of guys against Denver, but Denver's probably more vulnerable in that spot, in the small forward spot, especially if there's no Juancho Hernan-Gomez. You got Jeff Green here. Someone definitely got to consider in the player pool. Bogdanovich is definitely a good play here against Cleveland at 5,200. You got Joe Harris and Rodney Hood. Do like Hood here as well. He could be someone to consider. He's been playing pretty well as of late, 24-plus fantasy points per game over the last 3 games, and he has put up. Did he play? I think he did play against Indiana already. When he played against Indiana, let's see here. Don't see it. Oh, he did. Indiana at the beginning of the game, first game of the year against Indiana, 29 minutes, he put up 17 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 32.5 fantasy points. That was a long time ago. So, again, he's had a little success there this year. You got Decker here, of course, with the guys out in Washington, without them having maybe Ariza as of yet. You got to consider some of these guys here. Bunbury could be someone to consider. Finney Smith. It's a couple of guys we'll put in their player pool. Power forward. At power forward, John Collins stands up the top. Collins and Kuzma are probably the better plays here. They're both priced pretty high. Kuzma, we're getting a little bit of a discount. He was up to about 8,000 and change just a couple of games back. He's down to 7,700, so I can accept that. Larry Nance would be someone to consider as well. But I'm going with Kyle Kuzma here as well with the Lakers. It's just to match up the game, being the second highest implied total for the day. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I don't think anybody there in Brooklyn can actually defend him. And he's like the second offensive weapon pretty much for the Lakers other than LeBron James. I mean, 18 points, pretty much almost 6 rebounds a game, 2 assists, 30 fantasy points, 7,700 is you need 37 for him here. 7,500 on DK, you need about 36. But what I like is that at least 7 out of his last 9 games, he's been pretty much at 36 plus, which is way above his average. So he's definitely trending on the up and up. And when we come and look at him over here a little bit further, you can see the green spots. And obviously he's had all the success here. And of course he's had 2 dud games in a row here. Price tag was at 81 and 8,200. It's now down to 7,700. So you're getting a $500 discount. And we'll take that. We'll take that. I'll take that any day. This kid is capable of giving you 1 fantasy point per minute. He's averaging about 31, pretty much 31, 32 minutes a game or better on average. Some games he's going to get there a little bit higher. And he got, I would say, usage rate about 22, 23% on average, and he's getting about 15, 16 shots a game, and there are those moments, 15 here, 17. He did get 22 and 22 here. He's able to get 5 or 6 pretty much on average threes per game. He's getting to the foul line. He can get some rebounds. He can get some assists. His turnover ratio has been really horrific as of late. 6 turnovers in the last game, 4. He's turned it over 10 times and only getting back. So he got a -1 here with 1 steal, 1 block, and 1 block in those 2 games. You know, when you take away, you gain 3 here and you lost 10 there, so you basically have only lost 1. So overall, he could have had much better numbers here if he didn't turn over the ball as much as he did. But he's been in double-digit scoring for quite a few games now already. He's capable of lighting it up. As you can see, he's got 40, almost 50-point upside. So I will be willing to take a stab on him today with this matchup against the Brooklyn, which up front I just can't see Hollis Jefferson being able to contain him, you know, at least as far as that's just my opinion. All right, so I like him here very much so. Kyle Kuzma in play. And as you can see, Brooklyn is 7th in defending. Is it 7th? Yeah, 7th in defending power forwards. And they've been allowing 28.8 fantasy points per game, which is not too bad. But again, they haven't played anybody with Kyle Kuzma's skill set thus far over the last 5 or 6 games, because that's where I usually base it from. All right, John Collins, like I said, we'll have a little exposure to him at 8,200. You need pretty much 41. It's a tough price point for him, but he has been probably one of their better players for the Atlanta Hawks over the last like 5-6 games easily. Larry Nance Jr., definitely like him here against Indiana, but I definitely love Sabonis and Young. So Nance, Kuzma, Collins, Sabonis, and Young will all be in the player pool. All right. Not too fond about Hollis Jefferson, but he is a lefty, you know, so you got to give him a little consideration at 5,600. We'll throw him in the player pool. I am not too fond of the matchup against him with Kyle Kuzma. Markieff Morris against Atlanta should be an okay play for him, but he has not been playing that well as of late. Only played 10 minutes in the last game, 27 and 34, and look at those numbers are pretty low. Minutes have been choppy as well. Rodon's Karukos could be someone to consider here. Rodon's Karukos, 4,400. I would definitely throw him in the player pool. He has played, I think, 3 or 4 games in a row for the Nets now. 21, 23, and 21 over the course of that period, playing 28 and 29 minutes respectively. And I last saw a bulletin or a news bulletin on that Coach Kenny Atkins plans to keep him in the rotation even when Alan Crabb comes back. And as we know already, at least here on Fanduel, I haven't gotten any notification yet, but Alan Crabb is still a game-time decision. So if he does not play, he's going to get at least possibly 20 to 28 minutes again. And I think that's also hurting Hollis Jefferson as well with this guy playing that well. Coming down a little lower, obviously, Trey Lyles, you got to have some sort of consideration there for him as well. And, man, Zizic did get a start the last game out. Don't know if Cleveland's going to go that route again. If they do, then you can consider him as that drop spot play. I don't know how many minutes he played in the last game. He didn't play a whole lot, I think. Yeah, 17 minutes, put up 13 fantasy points. Could be someone to consider on that drop spot. All right, let's go over to center. At center, obviously you got Jokic here at the top, man. Obviously he is a monster, but he is too up and down for me as of late. So like I said, my favorite play in this top tier as far as price is concerned, I'd rather pay for LeBron James in a good matchup. It's going to be competitive. This game here could get a little out of hand. Denver could possibly pull away here, maybe not. But he has been a little too inconsistent for me, even though he has played better as of late. Paying 11,000, you need 55 from him. It's a big number for Jokic. Not that he cannot get there. I just think that there are some good plays down here that you can go. This is an area you could definitely pay down at. So you got Miles Turner down here. I like my Miles Turner here. I will have a lot of exposure to Miles Turner. I think this is the best possible play here in my opinion. Other than that, Dwayne Dedmon will have some. I will have some exposure to Dwayne Dedmon, but I will have even more exposure down here at 4,600 to Thomas Bryant, who has been starting for Washington lately and has done not too bad. And he has the upside at 4,600 to definitely crush value, and that is something that definitely intrigues me. So Thomas Bryant will be on the player pool as well. I'm not fond of anybody else other than Mason Plumlee, who plays usually the 4 for Denver. So he is someone to definitely consider, even though his price tag at 6,200, you need him to get 31 to meet value. So it's a tough position. But again, Miles Turner is the guy that I will be going with. I think I'm going to have him on most of my lineups as a core center for me today. Pretty much almost close to 13 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, nearly 2 assists, 31 fantasy points per game, 7,500. You need 37, and on DK he is 7,000 on the nose, so you pretty much need 35. He is averaging 30, close to 31. He has been trending a little bit upward, which I like. 5 out of his last 7 games. Let's go to him over here at the Cruncher, and 5 out of his last 7 games he has been pretty much at 36 or better, and I like that. He is averaging more than his. He's been averaging a upward trend over the course of those last 5 out of 7 games, and then of course minutes are there. He's averaging about 31 minutes or better, 4 out of his last 5 games. Usage rate as well over that same price time frame. He's pretty much at about 25% on average, maybe 26% over the last few games. And as of late, he's been shooting the ball quite a bit. 16 here, 22 here. Not a good shooting day. Not that good of, not bad of a shooting day here at 10 of 19. He is capable of hitting threes. He'll shoot the three. He's not afraid to do it. He's probably taken about what, on average, maybe 3 or 4 on average per game over the last 4 or 5 games. And he gets you some rebounds. Not a big assist guy, but what he brings to the table is those blocking skills, man. 2, 3, 6, 9, 15 blocks over the last 5 games. He's pretty much averaging about 2 blocks a game. You cannot go wrong with that. And of course, as you can see, he has 50-point upside. So I mean, at 37, if he can get me 47, which I think he's capable of doing today, that is a nice return on that. So I think he can get us 10x, maybe even 11x in a matchup like this, especially if Cleveland could keep it close. That's the only concern, is Cleveland keeping it close. And Vegas has it that Cleveland will keep this game close. So very, very interesting to see how that pans out. But Miles Turner is someone I'm considering. He did put only up 26 spot against Cleveland earlier. Cleveland's coming in 7th in defending centers. But since Thompson went down, before Thompson went down, folks, they were giving up only 24.5 fantasy points per game to opposing centers. Since Thompson has gone down, they have now allowed 33.5 fantasy points per game. So they're obviously trending in the wrong direction as far as defending opposing centers. As of late, they gave up 31 to Brook Lopez, 35 to Cantor, and 38.5 to Mr. Joel Embiid, which was an off night for Embiid. So yeah, again, do like Mr. Turner here. And like I said, I think that we should have some consideration to Dwayne Dedmon. He's been pretty good, 6,600. You pretty much need about 33 from him. And he put up a 49 spot in the last game, 34 here, 35 here. So he's been trending on the upward of 30 to 33 fantasy points or better per game in 3 out of the last 4 games. He did it also here as well. So you could pretty much put it 4 out of his last 6 games. He's been at least 34 fantasy points or better, which is close to his price range. We want him to be in that 46 range. He is capable of getting there. As you can see, he's been able to do that 1 time this year. So he is someone definitely to consider, but I am more so in favor of Thomas Bryant. I mean, Thomas Bryant, 4,600. He's been starting. He's been playing. The only concern is he going to play more than 20 minutes like he did here? He played 28 minutes against the Lakers in his last outing and put up 33 fantasy points, had 8 points and 11 rebounds, did have blocks and steals, and that's what he brings to the table, a little bit of defense. But that's my only concern. He's been able to do it. Now, he did play against Atlanta. Previously, on December the 5th, he put up 20 minutes, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 steal, 34 fantasy points. So he already has had success against Atlanta. He already put up 34. If he can get me 34 again at this price tag, at 46, you only need 23 fantasy points. So we need him to get at least 23 fantasy points. We need him to get at least 25, 26 minutes to be able to get an opportunity to do that. And if he's able to get at least that many minutes, at least as much as 28 minutes again today, he will not be a bad player. I will have exposure to him, and we will have him, add him to the player pool. Other than that, I don't think there's anybody else that we should consider here other than maybe DeAndre Jordan, which we'll throw in the player pool as well. And, I'm not going to throw Jokic in the player pool. I don't want to throw off these numbers because chances are he may be selected. And I think this is just not the best matchup for him as far as him getting 55. But again, it's my opinion. So pretty much I checked off everybody that I was interested in. There will be a couple guys I'm taking out of here. Plumlee is in play. Dwayne Dedman. Okay, we'll take Jokic out. Matter of fact, we'll leave him in there. We'll leave him in there. All right, let's just spit something out for you guys here. Okay, Zizic we'll leave in there because Hollis Jefferson, I think all that is good. Small forward, pretty much I got James, Barnes, Hernan Gomez, Green, Bogdanovich, Harris, Rodney Hood, Damari Carroll, Decker, Bunbury, Vince Carter. We'll take Carter out of there. Shooting guard, I put in here Oladipo, Bradley Beal, Luka Doncic got to be in there. Bazemore, Monty, Jordan Clarkson. We'll take Crabbe out. Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Alec Burks, Torrey Craig, and Malik Beasley. Okay, that's fine. Point guard, Wall, Murray. I'm not high on Dinwiddie today, man. To be honest with you, I don't think he's going to meet value, but we'll leave him out for now. Trae Young, I definitely like. Lonzo Ball, for GPP straight up, those guys are definitely good. You could take a stab at Colin Sexton because he does get sufficient minutes. You got to throw in Dellavedova because he's been on fire and he's getting minimal minutes and he's putting up more than one fantasy point per minute. And then Jeremy Lin, who has the potential to put up some nice numbers. As you can see, I didn't select any of the Indiana Pacer guards. But if anyone, well, let's check off Darren Collison just strictly because Cleveland does have issues against point guards. They should be utilizing him, but we all know that he does not put up the same amount of usage and amount of shots when Oladipo is on the court. So let's see, 50 lineups. Let's calculate that. Let's see what we get. And then that basically is it, folks. All right. Wow, it's popping up with Jeremy Lin at the top already. 97% of the lineups, 98%, 96%. I don't know if I'm going to be high on Jeremy Lin, but again, it's just for you guys to have some information. So it comes up with Bradley Beal, 96%, John Wall, 68%, Bazemore, 94%. Like I said, I do like Bazemore. Let's look over each individual position. They got Jeremy Lin, 96%, John Wall, 68%, Collison, 20%, Ball, 10%, and I like Ball the best, and I like Young. Again, I'm thinking GPP. So you see, this is why I tell you guys, if you've been here before, these optimize the Fantasy Cruncher has their own projections by Fantasy Cruncher. I'm not putting my own projections in there. The one thing good about this tool, if you use it, is that you can put your own projections in there. So that's the one good thing you can do. Other than that, like I've said before, I normally don't play a lot of these. What I do is I look at them, and if I feel that I like the lineup, maybe one or two I will play. But usually what I do is I cross them out. As you can see, there's an X here. You can close them out, and you can just select another individual player for that spot if you feel you like somebody else. So Jeremy Lin is the hottest guy here. So this is the first three lineups that is spit out here at the top. We got Wall, Lin, Beal, Bazemore, Bogdanovich, Harris, Larry Nance Jr., Hollis Jefferson, and DeAndre Jordan. And then the second one has Young, Lin, Beal, Bazemore, Bogdanovich, Harris, Nance, Hollis Jefferson, and Jokic. And then number 3 has Wall, Lin, Beal, Bazemore, Barnes, Harris, Nance, Hollis Jefferson, and DeAndre Jordan. And I'll give you these over here. Wall, Lin, Beal, Bazemore, Green, Bogdanovich, and Nance, and Hollis Jefferson and Jordan. You got Ball, Lin, Beal, Bazemore, Bogdanovich, Harris, Nance, Hollis Jefferson, and Jokic here. And you got Wall, Lin, Beal, Bazemore, Barnes, Bogdanovich, Sabonis, Hollis Jefferson, and Jordan there. And then I'll just basically stroll down this little list here, and you can always pause it and take a look at it, but the bulk of the players are there. And again, shooting guard, Beal is the top guy with Bazemore at 94, Jordan Clarkson 4%, D'Angelo Russell at 4%, Victor Oladipo only 2%. He's in only one of these lineups, so they're not projecting him to put up good numbers. Bogdanovich is here at the top dog as small forward at 70%, Joe Harris 62%, Bunbury at 24%, Barnes 22%, Green 16%, Hernan Gomez, if he plays, he's in 6% of the lineups. Power forward is Hollis Jefferson at 86%, Nance at 44%, Sabonis at 24%, Kuzma at 22%, Collins at 14%, Thaddeus Young at 8%, and Rondas Kurokus 2%. And at center, is Jordan, 46%, Nikolai Jokic, 38%, Plumlee at 6%, Bryant at 6%, Dedmon at 2%, Miles Turner at 2%. Again, one of the reasons why the matchup is pretty good for Bryant, Dedmon, and Turner, more so than any of the other guys. You could consider DeAndre Jordan in that matchup because, you know, Jokic and Denver has had some issues, at least as far as containing centers. But that's pretty much it, folks, man. That's where I'm at. So, I mean, again, for me personally, I do this to help you guys out. But again, this player pool is from 77 to now 43. When I narrow this down even further in a little bit, it's going to be down to like 15 or 18 players, because I will start cutting some of these guys off, you know, and then just really just doing a little bit more research and then narrowing it down even more so before the day's over. So, but again, that's where we at, man. Those are the guys I'm looking at. Again, I hope you guys like the video, man. Please drop a like. If you're new to the channel, first time here, hey, you know, become a subscriber. Again, this information like this, as far as for 3 and 4 game slates, this is basically the routine. Anything above 5 game slates or better, I go back to my regular. I give you one core player that I really like per position, and then I basically go over a couple other plays that will be options for you guys per position. Usually by the time it's all said and done, on a regular basis, you're really getting about 20 to 22 players overall to look over at the end of the night. So don't gauge it on only the 5 guys that I say I really like the most. Also look at all the other plays that I'm giving you, and then mix and match and find ways to make lineups that'll be of interest to you after you do your own due diligence, if you so choose. All right, basically that is it, folks. So again, good luck tonight, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next video.